What's going on, everyone? How are you all doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic as always. Judging by the title of this video, if you clicked on it today, I'm assuming you're in the market for a BMW 335i, 435i, M235i, and chances are you want to mod one. You may already own one of these cars and you are in the process or planning on modding one, so you are in the right place. I'm going to be giving you guys 5 essential tips that you should know prior to modifying one of these cars, because these are some pretty interesting things that you guys should know right off the bat. Without further ado, if you could smash that thumbs up button as well as subscribe to the channel down below, I really do appreciate your support. Let's get right into the video. So if you plan on modifying the suspension of your 2 Series, your 3 Series, or 4 Series, it's important to understand whether or not your car has EDC or the standard suspension. EDC is BMW's acronym for the electronically adjustable dampers that many of these cars have. So if you have an M235i, all M235s come standard with EDC, and then it was an option for the 335 and 435i, I believe. And this is cool because it will adjust the stiffness of the dampers based off of the driving mode that you're in, whether it be Comfort or Sport Plus or Eco and everything in between. However, if you do plan on getting something like a full coilover kit for a lowered ride height and stiffer suspension and better handling overall, it is important to note that when you do remove the stock EDC suspension on these cars, you will get a drivetrain malfunction, and this will not allow you to put the car in sport mode. It will not allow you to activate launch control. And basically you're going to be stuck in Comfort and you'll always have an EDC malfunction on your dash, and that can get pretty annoying. So what's the solution to this? You need to get it coded out. So some high-end coilover kits like the KW ones and stuff will actually come with EDC deletes built into the coilover so that it doesn't trigger the car's ECU to give that EDC malfunction. Or what you can do, if your coilover kit doesn't come with an EDC delete, you can contact a coder. There's tons of BMW coders on Instagram and all over the place. I'm sure any of you guys can find one local to you, and they will basically be able to code out the EDC malfunction within the car. Next up has to be the tire pressures on these vehicles. So a lot of us like to do canyon run driving. We also like to hit track days. We like to go to the drag strip, do highway runs, whatever the case may be. We like to go fast and do lots of performance driving, right? And so with that said, many of us may also consider doing things like adjusting the tire pressure for extra grip and bleeding the tire pressure maybe below what the OEM level would consist of. However, with these cars, once the DME senses that the tire pressure has fallen below a certain threshold, it will enact a safety measure and it will basically lock your car into Comfort mode, and you will not be able to put it in Sport or Sport Plus mode. And this is really important because when you put these cars in Sport mode, you get better throttle response, you get faster shifts, you get better steering feel, and the suspension feels a lot stiffer. But if you want to lower the tire pressure of your vehicles, you'll need to get that feature coded out, because you will not be able to put the car into sport mode because the DME will basically lock the car. It's kind of similar to the EDC malfunction, except this has to relate to the pressure level of your tires. And as I stated previously, this is something that can be coded out by a coder or a tuner. They'll be able to handle that for you, but it's just something to know ahead of time. The third tip that I want to tell you all primarily affects a lot of the guys that want to do track driving and high performance canyon runs and things of that nature. These cars all have wet sump oil supply systems, which means that the car's oil reservoir is built into the crankcase, unlike in a dry sump system where there's an external or like a secondary reservoir elsewhere near the engine. Now, this is fine for like 99% of users and driving styles, but if you're someone that's a total track rat or really likes to swing the car hard, you know, high lateral acceleration, under heavy braking, under heavy load, things of that nature, if you're frequently doing that kind of stuff, these cars can run into oil starvation issues. And there's a lot of threads on Bimmer posts about spun rod bearings and just early premature engine failure for a lot of track guys that really consistently and track these cars very, very heavily. Now, I'm not trying to spread fear or create false rumors about spinning rods or blowing engines, but it's just something to be aware of, that if you're going to be driving these cars exceptionally hard on the racetrack or basically pushing the car to its mechanical limit, you definitely want to make sure that the car's engine is being lubricated properly. And what some guys combat this with is actually by overflowing the car's engine oil reservoir with like an extra quart of oil over the standard limit, just to ensure that everything stays lubricated. Or some guys will even go as far as to pick up like an oil sump off of a BMW M4 or like an M235 Racing. You'll need to purchase like the oil pump, the oil pan, and the suction pump as well off of those cars, and then you can actually retrofit it onto the N55 in these cars, and that will basically prevent oil starvation issues completely. But it is something to be aware of if you plan on really consistently tracking these cars and driving them really hard, and you're taking turns at very high speeds, things of that nature. It's important to know that you can be running into oil starvation issues, and this is not just with the M235, it's the 435, 335, they all suffer from this, pretty much aside from the M cars. It's also important to mention, if you are or plan on being a 2 Series owner with a BMW M235i from the years 2014 to 2017 up until the M240i for the model year 2017, these cars do not come with an oil temperature gauge as well, so you're not really able to monitor the oil temps, which is very frustrating, and I actually talk about that in my 5 things I hate about these cars video, which I'll link right up here. But you can combat this with like a P3 vent gauge, and you can even monitor this via MHD or boot mode with a tablet and seeing a real-time readout of all your temps and different metrics of these cars. The fourth tip that I'm going to be giving you guys today is the fact that these cars have an open differential from the factory, and it's electronically controlled, and while it is pretty good for 99% of driving cases, if you're planning on putting big power on these cars, again, if you're planning on tracking them, frequent canyon use, and just all-out performance driving, you're going to want to look into an LSD or a limited slip differential to help put the power to the ground and to help exit corners out of high speed and just gain that extra stability and traction. The open diff is good for most people, but really if you want to get good performance out of this car and really take advantage of those modifications, suspension wise, engine wise, all those things that you can do to the cars, you'll want to get a limited slip differential. Fortunately, BMW makes a factory LSD for all of these cars that can be retrofitted really easily, and they actually sell this as part of their M Performance parts catalog. At the time of this video, they still manufacture it, so you can purchase one brand new. A lot of times ECS Tuning will have like a bulk sale on M Performance LSDs, so you can get one at a good price, and that's just something to look into as well. It's not necessary, of course, but again, if you're really looking into seriously modding your car, an LSD is definitely something you'll want to get. And the fifth and final tip about these cars is going to have to be the ZF8 transmission and the torque limiters that are pre-programmed into the gearbox itself. So if you have a 6-speed manual car, you don't have to worry about this. 6-speed manual guys, you guys have to worry about your clutch slipping and basically upgrading your clutch past a certain power threshold. But for the ZF8 guys, that's not a problem, but we do have to worry about the torque limiters. Now, the ZF8 in certain gears, I believe it's the odd gears, so it's like gears 1, 3, and 5, and please feel free to correct me if I am mistaken on this. Let me know in the comment section down below. Certain gears within the ZF8 automatic transmission have torque limiters that are pre-programmed by the car's TCU. Now this is fine at the car's stock power level, but if you plan on tuning either through MHD or JB4 or a custom flash or boot mode, whatever the case is, you're not going to be able to experience the full extent of your tune and those full power gains once those torque limiters are in place, because you will be torque limited in specific gears. So what do you do to combat this? Well, boot mode actually has a TCU flash for the ZF8 transmission that removes those torque limiters entirely, so you can experience the full gains. And you can see this evident with certain dyno curves where you don't see a drop off in torque, as well as XHP. They're another really good flash tool software for the car's TCU. You can flash the ZF8 transmission to make it even faster and shift harder and more aggressively, rev match better, etc. But they also provide the ability to remove torque limiters on the ZF8 HP45 transmission that all these cars have. So it's something that's really important to think about if you want to tune the car. And if you don't do that, you'll still feel a noticeable upgrade in performance of the car, but you're not going to be getting that 100% full upgrade or improvement in terms of straight line speed. With all that being said, there is 5 performance driving tips for these cars that you should know. I think these things are going to be really helpful to a lot of you guys and answer a lot of questions. And as always, if you have any more questions, any additional thoughts, comments, please let me know in the comment section down below. I always try my best to get back to every single person. And shoot me a follow on Instagram at simplycarthings_. I'm always happy to answer your guys' DMs as well, and you can stay up to date with all my videos. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll catch you all in the next video. Take it easy.